Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King 2, and today I'm going to be giving you part 23 of What If Naruto Had the Rarest Bloodline. Remember to get this one to 100 likes as usual, share this to all of your friends in your social media platform, and also guys, go ahead and check out the brand new episode of What If Naruto failed his Genin test and was given intense training over an Anime King. And stay tuned for a brand new episode of Anime King 3. And yes, if you're new, you heard that correctly. I indeed have 3 channels: Anime King, Anime King 2, and Anime King 3, which I post what if on every single day for you guys to enjoy. So yeah, remember to go ahead and check out those and enjoy guys, and turn on that bell notification to stay posted so you can see exactly when I post. So yeah, without further ado, what is to begin this new episode, start the intro. So, the last part we left off, as Suwaki went up against Orochimaru. Orochimaru realized that he was underestimating her too much, as she was swiftly picking him apart wickedly, as Orochimaru then used her greatest weakness, garlic. Just like her namesake say, as garlic was a really bad thing on her. Orochimaru then told her that he was the one that was there as well. That poisonous stream of water that made her family died, and he enjoyed watching them suffer and writhe in agony. Suwaki looked at him as she was in incredible pain, as Orochimaru stabbed her right through the chest, not in her heart though. He needed her heart, it was the last component of him becoming truly immortal. But Suwaki was given enough time because he talked too much as she performed a summoning, as Naruto gave both Kushina and Suwaki the summoning contract for the salamanders. A small salamander ripped into Orochimaru's stomach, a poison so deadly to rip Orochimaru apart, put him in a state where he couldn't even move or do anything but watch as Suwaki was held by the chameleon as the poison was gone. As she got back up, a wicked look came on her face, as Orochimaru was then put through excruciating pain that he never thought he would ever feel in his entire life, as the man suffered while he died. Meanwhile, Kisame had faced off against the masked man, as he had trapped the both of them in a spear, those monkeys, and the members of the Ink clan was there. Trapping them in a spear, the battle entailed inside a rather dreadful battle between them. But the masked man was able to use Susanoo, including the Amaterasu flames, as Samihata had hurled Kisame out of the way and took the most brunt of the flames. But Kisame also got burned as the masked man used opportunity when the spear dropped to flee. He burned through it with the Amaterasu as he ran away quickly, knowing that even with his Kamui and his ability, outside where the entire force was, it was going to be difficult to take them all out. Meanwhile, Nagato paths didn't stand a chance, as Naruto broke them apart one after another. He made his way towards the Hidden Rain. As he arrived there, Nagato was lying on his bed. The people had saw the ghost return, the man that helped them back in the war, and respect was given to him as they let him pass through. As Naruto had the body of Yaiko, it's time that he deserved a proper burial. As he came inside and spoke to Nagato, as Naruto couldn't find anything to kill him, Nagato apologized. But Naruto did break his nose though with that punch. It was then that Nagato revealed that his eye was taken by the masked man. That sick maniac out there calling himself Madara Uchiha now had the Rinnegan. This was gonna be problematic as Naruto went to a payphone as he spoke to Suwaki. Seeing that he took a couple of hours to get towards the Hidden Rain, everything was over. Samihata was in excruciating pain. The thing wasn't really alive anymore, as they weren't sure if they should just take it out of his misery. But Kisame was still unconscious, so Naruto said wait until Kisame wakes up, it's his choice. So with that out of the way, Naruto summoned one of the foxes as he got the sample of the masked man that remained behind. He was also going to Konoha to find out what he could find out about the Sharingan. It's time they dealt with this masked man once and for all. So yeah guys, with basically that's what I thought. You guys can switch across the place and check out for yourself. So this begins new episode. As Naruto stood there after sending the Fox Cub off, Nagato did something that surprised him. As you remember, after he had swapped the Rinnegan, as to get any samples, any trace to track down the masked man. Flashback. As Nagato had a cylinder in his hand with yellowish liquid inside. Floating in there was his other Rinnegan eye. What are you up to, said Naruto, as he just sealed away the samples to try and track down the masked man, as he placed it in a scroll and put in his pocket. Take this, said Nagato. No, said Naruto. I don't deserve to hold it. No, said Naruto. This is my punishment, said Nagato, getting a bit angry. You might have forgiven me, but I can't forgive myself. Naruto crossed his arms. These eyes. I don't know why I was given them, but I have wasted their abilities. For the better part of my life, I desecrated Yaiko's body. I drove us apart. I ended the Akatsuki by my mad means of trying to bring peace to everything. I was a fool. The allure of power overcame me, and I thought I was a god, unbeatable, untouchable. Are you aware of your position? Asked Naruto. Nagato scoffed as he placed the cylinder down close to Naruto. I am a cripple, I know. You will no longer have power, said Naruto. The Hidden Rain will be defenseless. I trust my people, said Nagato. Why are you giving it to me? Wait a little longer, and I'll try to convince Konan to come back and get it. Because, Naru, you have had the power, the authority, before any of us. And you never impose it on us. You never force your will on others. Our people follow you before they follow us. You are the leader of Dark Country, the most influential and strongest country in the world, yet you haven't invaded. You haven't trifled with any other country. People tell ghost stories. Stories about how you yourself are death incarnate. You are proof. Proof itself that absolute power does not corrupt. I am not innocent, Nagato. No one is innocent, Naruto, said Nagato. Yet, I trust you most of all to not let this eye stain you. Now, do whatever you want with them, he said, referring to both eyes, knowing that Naruto would get the eye back from the masked man. In the flashback, there was a seal at the bottom of the ninjato, which Naruto sealed the Rinnegan eyes in. The Nagato he knew treasured his eyes, to the extent where the circle of friends stopped joking a long time ago about Nagato lending them his eyes. For him handing over his eyes to Naruto, to make amends for what he did to tear apart their family, their little group of friends, everything. He was truly apologetic. And he wanted to rule over his people the way he should have. Getting to the top of the building, Naruto looked over the Hidden Rain. It has grown. The steam engine was a new addition, and the metal and glass skyscrapers were more now than when he was a child. The people dressed wonderfully, and they had umbrellas to ward off the rain. The rain, similar to darkness, was a secretive nation that didn't allow foreigners inside. Since the end of the Second Shinobi War, Naruto wasn't sure how the people had gone by and made money. He didn't know their economical strength or the level, strength of their shinobi. But clearly, from what he was seeing, they were doing well for themselves. Nagato had not abandoned the village while he was leader of the Akatsuki. Only, he had given most power towards the council, to let them see as they do fit while he was in control of the Akatsuki. The results would have been catastrophic if they did not fear him like how they fear Kami. As Naruto jumped off the roof, as he made his way out of the Hidden Rain towards Konoha, time skip, to Chunin, in front of the Uchiha gate, stood there as they were talking, unknowing to them that the ghost was right there, over to the side of the bushes. As he dig his fingers into the ground, the gatekeepers had their Sharingan activated, and even if they did not, they would see the chakra approaching to their compound, leaping over into their walls, and alarms would be blaring the next second. There weren't that many sensors amongst the Uchihas, but their eyes compensated for that gap, as Naruto was able to squeeze his chakra into the size of a ping pong ball, not even leaking a shred of it out of his body. Only people that had intimate knowledge of their chakra and their coils could do this successfully and still have control over their body movements. For someone like him that had a large quantity of chakra, it took him years to master how to completely erase himself, like he wasn't even there. It was nothing, no chakra footprints. He couldn't be sensed. His eyes spotted several seals on the wall, as he quickly recognized them as detection seals. Chakra or no chakra, once he touched them, or magic cleared the 15-foot wall in a good leap, the seals would detect him. But Naruto was a level 6 seal master, so he could negate all those seals. But he had to do them immensely quick. As he crept away from the front, as he moved to the right, he looked up as he saw a falcon circling. As he lowered himself closer to the ground, the bird looked down at where it had seen large movement. It then cawed as it flew away, as Naruto lifted himself up, skimming around the walls while still in his crouch. It was then that Naruto saw smoke coming from one of the houses, as a smirk came to his face, as Naruto picked up a leaf and pulled out his brush, as he drew a time negation seal to place on the leaf that was shut down the seal on the wall for 5 seconds. Leaf touching the wall was coming, so the seals would not go off. As he made his way, he stood there as he waited. As he watched the smoke, he then released the leaf as it trapped right onto the wall. The moment it did and negate the seals, Naruto's body turned into smoke. As Naruto moved forward, passing through the defense and merging himself with the smoke that was coming from the chimney of the house. As he pulled himself down and swirled before reforming himself on top of the roof. As he squeezed his chakra back together, reducing his presence once again. He slowly made his way down in the shadows, flicking his eyes around as he made his way to the Uchiha compound. Clan head houses was usually in the middle of the compound. As he made his way, it was 4 stories tall, and it had the plaque that said Clan Head Residence. It had air vents at the back and a chimney at the top. As he took the air vents and he ended up in a basement, he saw some power generator inside. As so he made his way through the house. It took him a while of searching before he found the private library. Time skip. There wasn't anything in the library that Naruto didn't already know about Sharingan, capable of copying jutsus. Well, unless they weren't Genkai jutsus. The illusions, everything that was there. Naruto already knew all of this. But he saw something that piqued his interest. The evolution of the Sharingan. But there was no mention of the name in there. As he flickered through the tome, he had on his gloves. There was no evidence of him that was going to be left behind. He pushed it back in where he had gotten it as he pulled out the other one and rolled it open. As he found something interesting, Indra used his eyes to create fire that was hot and scorching like the sun that blasts and loaded for 7 days and 7 nights without dimming or dying. There was a single word under the sentence, Amaterasu. As Naruto frowned at that, Indra was the very first person of the Sharingan from what he had gathered, so he was a forefather of the Uchihas. Amaterasu sounded like something that can cause 4-degree burns, so that is what charred Kisame into a coma. But it had no clue how to cure a person that was burned by the Amaterasu. It simply said that it was an instant kill. Sharingan Jutsu. The black fire appeared where the Sharingan person was looking, as long as it was in a 30-meter radius. He saw something else that caused attention. Paying homage to the gods of the moon, Indra crafted a torture illusion that tortured Ma, the Conqueror, for 20 hours straight, while in reality it was only less than a second. The pain did not show on Mana's body, but his mind was so broken, he was unable to even speak or move. Tsukiyomi. That one gave Naruto chills. Tsukiyomi was the ultimate Sharingan Genjutsu. While there was a slim chance of breaking free from normal Sharingan Genjutsus, breaking Tsukiyomi was almost impossible. Not unless Sharingan holder felt pity on you. The person can also interrogate the victim as well. There was a broken sentence underneath. Ultimate defense. Skeleton projection. Cannot be shattered. Someone had rubbed them out, or they were blanked off by hand. But the author, whose name was not there, had written what he saw from Ninja Uchiha. And he saw all of them as unbreakable, powerful jutsus. The Uchihas Naruto met on the battlefield never display any of these jutsus. But Kisame, the Amaterasu, and Chizuru was placed under the Tsukiyomi by the masked man for him to get information on darkness. The last ultimate defense was mysterious and unknown to him, and there was also nothing about teleportation. A tiny breath gasped at the door as Naruto froze. He slowly turned as he saw a 3-year-old boy standing there, holding on to a large teddy bear. The boy's large black eyes were focused on Naruto, and he was trembling. "How you get there, kid?" said Naruto as he pushed the tome back. The only reason the boy got there before he noticed was that Naruto was too focused in his mind. He wasn't on guard then. The boy opened his mouth as Naruto dashed away. "Mom!" he screamed. At the same moment, Obito Uchiha knew his limits very well. Not even with his left Rinnegan eye or his right Sharingan eye, he could not overcome Naruto. No, he couldn't do it on his own. But he didn't want to do this. He despised himself for doing this. As he glanced towards the silver-haired teen next to him, summoning him, Kabuto brought his fingers up together and flashed through hand signs as he was facing a coffin with a ranged shinobi locked inside. Edo Tensei! The coffin banged open by itself against Kabuto's command. And it was not the ranged shinobi that was inside anymore. A pair of Sharingan could be seen glowing. The light in the Valley of the End seemed to refuse on shining light on his face, almost like it was afraid of the corpse that was revived. As the person was in red armor, black clothing underneath, Kabuto grind his teeth as Madara finger twitched. As Obito took a step back, Madara had his eyes focused on Obito. The first question Madara asked was one that Obito has been dreading since he knew that he was going to have to revive him. Where is Zetsu? Dead, said Obito. Akatsuki? Dead, Obito said. Who? The man says. He clenched his fists. His eyes twist and turn into the evolved Sharingan state. Who is at fault? As the box shattered, as Madara flared his chakra, the two younger ninjas had to sink chakra to their feet as the place crack and wail. Obito had never faced Naruto one-on-one, neither had Kabuto, but the both of them were sure that this was the same killer intent that they feel from the ghosts when his victims know that they were gonna die. It was a killer intent that gave Orochimaru an incurable lung disease, the one that rooted people in the ground, even as their bodies screamed out to them to run, to hide, to flee, but they could not because they were so afraid of their demise. Just the feeling of that touch of death coming close. The ghost stories these days, they always seem to be some kind of exaggeration on most people's part, but in fact they weren't. Yes, no one can fully estimate and judge Naruto's power to know what he was fully capable of. No one. But this was Madara Uchiha, a legendary class shinobi who's rumored to be on the same plane of existence as Naruto, the ghost. Speak, boy, said Madara, as he did not appreciate the delay. As the chakra storm subsided, as Madara heard the person name, Naruto. There were many Narutos on the planet, and yet only one face came to Madara's mind. A wicked grin came on his face, and a deep chuckle came from his chest. Where is he? For that, Obito genuinely did not know. Just about 3 hours ago, the connection to the other Rinnegan was cut. It was that the connection disappeared off the face of the earth. The only logical explanation was it was destroyed, but he wasn't aware that it was sealed away in Naruto Ninjato. The sword had its own chakra network where it constantly siphoned and sucked chakra into itself from around the area, masking it and the holder's presence as it covered chakra on it and the holder. It wasn't sentient like Kisame's blade, but it was an extension of its holder. Obito had the idea though. I know how to lure him out. Time skip. 5 minutes later, Suki's eyes were wide, and the rabbit comes out like this as a woman tap the hat twice with her magic wand as the rabbit came out. Kushina rolled her eyes as Shimura was not impressed. I still say there is some sort of storage seal in there, said Kushina, the woman that was known as Phoenix in BLAK. Huff. I just showed you that there weren't any. She pushed the rabbit back inside and shoved the hat in Kushina's face. See? See? Suki clapped though. Who taught you that trick, she asked. Karu, also known as Komodo Draken. He gave me a few pointers. Kushina slapped the hat away from her face. Invisible ink, she said. God, the woman said. Can't you just be amazed like a normal person? As Suki turned towards Kushina. I'm a septic. That's just how I was raised, said Kushina. What's your excuse? Phoenix asked. Her real name was Nina, as she turned towards the boxer friend, Shimura. Well, I grew up around seal masters and magicians, so you can't blame me if I'm not impressed. You know what I think? Said Suki. Neither of you know how to have fun. What? I'll have you know I do know how to have fun, said Kushina. I don't believe you, Suki said. Lord Naruto is a fun guy. I'm sure you did not take your boredness from him. Suki, that was rude, said Nina. What? I'm just being honest. Suki had listened to Naruto's advice, so she contacted Shimura and asked if she wanted to hang out. And they did girl stuff, as Shimura had brought along Kushina and Nina, who loved magic. Oh, and not to mention, Suki was also kind of envious of Kushina's position as Naruto's wife, second wife to be exact. The little human contact that she had, she wasn't taught how to properly hide her envy, and it was showing full force. Come on, said Nina. She dragged all of them away, down to the shop where there was more contraptions, as Nina almost fell on her face 3 times going there, as the girl was rather clumsy. As she was trying her best though, to not let the argument start between Kushina and Suki. How about I show you guys something I've been... The alarms blare, cutting her off, as the alarms are blaring loudly. Not wasting a second, Kushina picked up Suki and threw her on her shoulder as she rushed out of the store, with the two others following behind. Alarms didn't normally blare in darkness, not ones that could cause panic for the civilians to be panicking and doing things out of the way. In a rush, it was usually silent alarms, not these loud ones. That meant something bad, really bad was happening at the moment. As they hopped up on the roofs, as south of the capital, the western area was bathed in blackness coming. Flames. Black flames had swallowed over there. Black flames covered the sky as it was melting through the ceiling barrier and it was dropping down in the village. The three kunoichis were giving their order. Nina went left with her mask on, as Shimmer went right with her mask on as well. As Kushina made her way towards the capital, Shadow Clone Jutsu, she said, as Suki was dropped off the roof. Her eyes went wide, but a clone caught her as she was taken towards one of the bunkers that didn't have that much Krama members, knowing that one touch would free Mania. As Kushina leaped, she held her palm up to the sky as the black flames were raining down. She was dangerously close to the fire as she could feel blisters pop up on her arm. She roared as a chakra chain drew a ceiling on her. Fire ceiling method! The screaming civilian watched as half of the flames was sucked inside of Kushina's palm, reaching the peak of her jump. As she turned and something was coming towards her fast, a fist smashed in her face, throwing her down towards the ground. Kushina crashed hard. She placed her hands and flipped off the ground before an axe kick slammed right into it, rooting it to pieces. She righted herself as she was exhaling hard as she pulled out her katana and spat a bloody spit from her mouth. Kokyu, the five-tailed horse, galloped right up to her as Madara waved his hand as a blast of air blew the smoke away. As Obito appeared in a swirling vortex, "Do it, Madara!" As Obito opened his palm, he threw a ball up in the sky. "Planetary Devastation," he said, as the Rinnegan in his eye pulsed. Given the fact that he didn't have both Rinnegan eyes, it wasn't as large as Nagato's. That didn't mean that it wasn't monstrous. Right at Mito's grassland, the place was torn apart as the rocks were lifted and pelted towards the sky. As the ground broke as Kokyu started to go up to the sky, he started to fire miniature tail beast ball, quick blast towards it as he burst right through and hit the core. The thing destabilized and burst. As Kokyu used that opportunity to jump from rock down to rock, going down towards the two mad Uchiha that was trying to burn darkness. Not on his watch. Obito, seeing that his jutsu was nullified, crafted 10 more and threw them in all different directions. Defense Corps officers were running out the people and taking them to safety. Despite gravitational force that was tearing the earth apart, the safe zones would keep them protected. Tall buildings ripped out of the ground. Playgrounds, hospitals, everything started to be torn. As Madara was engaged in a deadly dance of fists, rock and steel. As Kyuubi's chakra was around Kushina's right fist as she threw it towards Madara, open gut. But the man twists as he snapped a low kick that connected with her ankle, lifting her off the ground. As he twists and delivers a brutal blow right to the side of her head, but she twisted her body, using chains to yank her down as she sent the rest of them straight towards Madara. As Madara twists and dodged chains after chains as he went back towards Obito, returned to the cave before that vampire and lizard killed that snake, eliminate them. As Obito went back towards the cave where Kabuto was fleeing from Suwaki and Komodo dragon through the network of caves in the Valley of the Inn. Meanwhile, the dolphin horse was frantic as he was able to take apart 2 more Planetary Devastation, but the other 8 was causing real damage fast. The ninjas split themselves rather quickly as some of them went towards where Madara was facing off against Kushina, as some of them were helping the people and the others were building up fast constructions. Chakra cannons, inventions created to bring down aerial threats, flying, floating, doesn't matter what, as long as it was up there and can be taken down. As they didn't waste time as they aimed up to the skies, they fired. Boom! As the five-tail did not know whether to take apart the satellites or aid Kushina in that one-sided battle. If reinforcements came on time, they wouldn't be able to take down the undead Uchiha. He snorted thick steam from his sky as he dropped, landed after taking down another satellite. But he knew a way that he could equal the score though. The seal on his chest glowed black. He raised his hoof before slamming them on the ground. Summoning jutsu, there was a massive black smoke that swirled before bursting outwards. Standing there was Naruto. And he did not look happy. Not one bit. The question of how Madara Uchiha was alive, the real one, it did not cross Naruto's mind. He saw his country was being bombarded. He saw cannons bring down meteors. He saw his shinobis created a perimeter around Mito's grassland as he saw Madara grabbing Kushina by the throat, his fist caught back as he launched it to burst her skull right open. But instead of Kushina receiving a hit, Naruto moved. In an instant, Madara was the one that received a punch to the face that was so powerful his jaw snapped as his body was sent ricocheting away. As Kushina opened her one eye, her other one, blood was coming down her forehead, covering it. As Naruto gave her a look, she quickly jumped back. She knew when not to complain. Madara snapped his jaw back into focus. "You're fast as they say," he said. "That wasn't fast. I'll show you fast," said Naruto as he was gone. As Madara brought his arm up to block the right hook towards his jaw, but what the hell? It was an after image. Instead, he received several gut-wrenching punches right in his stomach that twisted him. As Naruto spin and deliver 3 punches in the man's abdomen with a spinning left hook towards his side in the span of a quarter of a second. And he wasn't done as he shattered the man's chin with a punch, twisting under a jab from Madara, slamming his fist into his ribs. As the man's ribs, 3 of them in total, shattered at the punch, as Naruto drive a massive kick into his stomach, twisting the armor, causing immense damage to the man's body underneath. As Madara was lifted up in the air, as Naruto twists, brought his foot up as he smashed it under the man's chin. As the man's head rattled, Naruto went through 4 hand signs: snake, dragon, bird, tiger, hidden art, smoke release, king cobra. Smoke burst out of Naruto with his lightning as it formed a snake with white eyes. The eyes made from the lightning as the thing lashed out and bit into Madara, tearing into his armor as it smashed Madara into the ground with a loud thud. Dust and smoke rise up from the last attack as Naruto stood there watching, looking for any sign of life. Naruto's eyes widened as a hand snapped out, as the hand was used to pull up the rest of the Uchiha, completely unscathed besides for the 2 teeth hole on his chest and stomach. As Madara calmly brushed off his shoulder. "Was that supposed to hurt?" he said. "I barely felt that." As he pulled out a kunai and twirled it before dropping into a low stance. "Tell me if you feel this," he said. His right foot staggered back a bit as he muttered, "Storm release. Earthen floodgate," he said. He leaped forward as Naruto was forced to wince as the light from the explosion of the water, wind, and lightning behind Madara gave him an incredible boost to launch himself as he teared through the stomach of Naruto Jonin vest, twisting the metal in his hand as he quickly brought his left hand up and blocked Naruto's hand that was probably gonna sever his neck right there, as he slammed a harsh punch in Naruto's chest with his right hand as Naruto toppled backwards as the attack was fortified by wind, lightning, and water being pushed to make it far more stronger than what it was supposed to be. As Naruto did not fall, he simply staggered on his feet as he stood back up straight. As Madara smirked, "You're not the only one that can form and can combine water and lightning, boy." Madara smirked though, as Naruto showed no sign of pain. He simply stood there. "While I acknowledge that you're fast, it's nothing I haven't killed before." "That's my line," said Naruto as he gritted his teeth. As Naruto has never encountered anyone that can use Storm Release. But what the name said, he could guess the combination of the techniques that were implied. Though wind wasn't a major factor, it combined ferocious blades of wind and the torrent force of water and crackling lightning. It was an imposing sight as Naruto felt that feeling once again. Excitement. Yes, excitement. As you could hear the clatter of his teeth as they grind against each other. As a wicked smirk was on his mouth, as Naruto was taken back to when he was a child, when he was just learning about his techniques, his abilities, hearing about shinobis that were said to be undefeatable, and Madara was someone who no one knew the full extent of what the man could do. In these days, it was just like when he was in prison, facing off against King and his man with his chakra sealed away, having a disadvantage, having a reason to push himself. Madara was also grinning as he felt the exact same way, to face off against an opponent that got you on the tip of your feet at every second. Meanwhile, the shinobis destroyed the massive balls in the sky as the Chinunko clan came forward and sealed away the massive debris before they could destroy more when they fall. The air became charged as debris started to fly. The wings started to howl as the place started to get torn apart underneath their feet. as Naruto rose off the ground and held his palm together as shadows gather over his face. White noise, he said. Meanwhile, a few miles away from Clover Mountain, BLAK Operative Fox of Team 20 cast a grim look around as he looked around at the destruction. The Fox masked captain of the team muttered, "This doesn't look good." There were statues around, and when they got closer there was the statues of Uchihas, all of them having a 3-totem or 2-totem Sharingan. It seems that they were running from something. Only one of them were missing though, out of the group. As Monkey went forward in search, yes, it was Fukaku. Fukaku was the only one not here. But what turned them into statues? As they saw, some of the statues at the front had deformities. One of them had his hand turned into a snake. Another one had reptilian eyes, and it looked like they were in immense pain. Judging from the look on their faces, pure agonizing pain. Needless to say, these 20 statues were in a whirl of pain before they met their demise. Who was to even say that they were even dead, frozen forever as statues? The most suffering existence, unable to do anything, or they could be dead. But feeling no pulse and sensing no life, the BLAK members figured that they were dead. As Fox pulled out a camera, he started to take pictures of everything around, as he would hand it back in the report that they would give to their Lord Naruto. "Rabbit Senpai," Monkey says. He moved forward. "I think I know what did this." "What are you getting at?" asked Rabbit. "Nature chakra from Snake summons." Chipmunk looked up. Do we report back in now?" she asked. "No," said Rabbit. "Our mission is to find Minato Namikaze and assist him if he's in need and in dire situations." Fox hummed. "Yes," he said. "We cannot return unless we have exhausted all parts of this assignment. Rabbit Senpai, I believe Monkey can lead us to Fukaku." As he turned towards Monkey, "Can't you?" As Monkey focused on the nature chakra that was still gathered there. "I can," he said. "Good idea, Fox. Wherever Minato is, Fukaku would definitely be close by." Monkey, T-point. "We proceed to Clover Mountain." Chipmunk, "You stay and gather information from the people. See if they know anything." Suwaki, our Commander Bat, insisted that they did need to keep a low profile so they could gather information. "I will check on Minato Namikaze and Tatsumi's Inazaka home. At the top of the mountain, there might be clues." What if Mr. Namikaze is there?" asked Chipmunk. "Then we see if he's okay. Tell him that Tatsumi Inazaka is safe. With the fire daimyo, and report back towards a leader lord." As Monkey started to focus on the nature engine, feeling around it but not dragging it in his body. Because if a chakra enter him, he will go through the same thing as the others. "So we all agree that we don't care what happened to Fukaku, right?" "Agreed," they all said. "Well then, let's not waste any time. Let's go." With that, they moved out. Time skip. Under the Valley of the End, Fire Nation. As the two figures moved quickly down the hallway, as they dodged away from the wall cannon that opened up, spewing out a great mist out of it, as they made their way around the poison mist and avoid all the traps that were set to take them down. Their masked bat and Komodo dragon did not allow any poison to get inside. Several meters away in front of them, Kabuto was running as he dived behind a door that shut behind him as he panted there. As they stopped in front of a large door, they hadn't seen the person that entered, who was running away from them, but the two of them were sensors of a different kind. Komodo was a taste sensor and Bat was a life sensor with blood. "Slippery little one," said Komodo to himself as he clipped off the lower half of his mask, as his 7-foot tongue came from his mouth and tasted the air. Bat started to open up this solid iron door. "Senpai," said Komodo Dragon, "traps ahead. Flash bombs and ropes." "He doesn't intend to bring the whole mountain down on us," said Bat, slamming her fist into the reinforced door, bursting it open as it was sent sailing backwards. Komodo Dragon stepped in front of her as he destroyed the rope, swinging traps as he closed his eyes at the flash bomb. "This place is huge. It will take another hour for him to get to the other side and escape." His BLAK tattoo then thump on his arm. "Home base under attack." "I'm aware," said Bat. She moved forward. "Our orders are to remain here and kill the masked man and incinerate any signs of him that may left in the surrounding area. That means this person we're chasing dies." "Yes," said Bat as they made their way. "Bat Senpai, this person smells like Orochimaru." "He isn't Orochimaru," said Bat. "I skewered him on his own sword, the Kusanagi." She peeled his skin off bit by bit. "I kept his heart and brain alive as I fed his internal organs to my salamander summons. Then when I couldn't keep him alive for any longer, I burned him down to the bone, down to his Jiyunko, and I gave his remains to Panda to scatter in the ocean. I assure you, Orochimaru is dead." "Sorry I asked," said Komodo Dragon. "What if the masked man disappeared from us with the target? Then we chased them. After all, With her sensory ability and his tongue, there was no way that the masked man could hide away from them. They had their orders. Madara Uchiha was to die, end of question. Kabuto cursed as they were gaining on him and fast. There were no more usable corpse to resurrect any Edo Tensei as he ran down the hall, swirling vortex as Obito appeared right in front of him. Obito didn't even send a glance as Kabuto rushed past him as Obito stood there, not running, waiting for the other two to catch up as he felt them coming. Water release, water encampment wall, as a vortex in front of his eye and a torrent of water came out. It was massive as it smashed along the hallway, the tightly packed hallway, rushing down to smash into the other two. Bat moved in front of Komodo Dragon. Water release, underwater torpedo drill, as water spewed from her mass. In a seal that was contained there, it drilled right through Obito's water, creating a clear path for them as they kept on running, as her water kept on drilling through it. Obito's next thought was to go for Almighty Push, but he could not, because he would destroy the hideout, and that would kill Kabuto, as the real Madara would be dispelled, and he could not get to crush Dark Country, as the Edo Tensei was not perfect. Nowhere near perfect for him to keep it up, even after his death, so they needed him, as a red mist rushed towards him, as a red cage formed around him, the Susanoo rib cage. Amaterasu, he said as black flames emerged, as Bat came to a stop as she felt the intense wave of heat. This was the same thing that burned Kisame. As the black flames started to spread around her, "What are you gonna do now?" had Obito yelled as he looked at the trapped woman. "There's nowhere to go. Hold. Hold." She sent a message towards Komodo Dragon, as Obito hadn't realized that it was just her alone. Where did the other one go? He wasn't even focusing on that. He watched as she was quiet as blisters grew in her arm, but she was incredibly quiet, as she seemed unafraid as Komodo Dragon burst out of the hole in the wall. As it drew Obito's attention, Bat had her blood attached to Komodo's Dragon here. The blood shot forward and fly into Obito's nose as the man choked, as the blood went straight into his brain and multiplied, as it overtook his entire body in seconds. There really wasn't hope for him anymore. No hope at all, as Obito placed a kunai at his throat. Komodo came behind him and drive an obsidian blade right through his skull. The last thing Obito Uchiha saw was a pair of red eyes that watched him as he fell down to the ground, motionless. His right Mangita Sharingan came to a stop as his eye turned black as his eye deactivated as he lay there motionless. Meanwhile, as Naruto was currently in white noise, using the atmosphere natural chakra that he shoot out with his lightning to mix with it. The atmosphere, the nature chakra above the clouds that he gathered together. Madara looked around grimace as thunder and lightning black clouds gather all above them as the lightning was booming. A massive bolt of lightning came back down, saturated with nature energy, as it slammed into the nape of Naruto's neck, flooding his body as his body got supercharged. As Naruto and Hashirama Senju was the only one that was able to gather nature energy without using any summoning animals. Naruto had meditated for a whole year on top of the holy mountain at the temple at Yakuza Mountain in Demon Country. He was about 14 and up there. The air was so thin, it was a fighting battle to literally breathe. The monks refused to teach him how to properly breathe up there, but they did bring him back down if he ever passed out. The monks there could drag the nature energy into their bodies, but it was a way that they prayed to their god, just by meditating. They had taken an oath to never weaponize their abilities or teach it to anyone unless that person took the oath as well, to never use his ability as a weapon. Naruto at that time had managed to steal a scroll that taught him how to breathe from his stomach. After getting past how to breathe, the next thing was to learn how to drag chakra into his body, nature chakra, without evaporating into the wind. It was a grueling, tough training. Most days, he lost sight of himself as his body was turned into air that could just float away if he wasn't focused. Mastering atmosphere, nature chakra, made Naruto feel as light as a feather. Beyond even that, but yet at the same time, stronger than obsidian steel, the strongest metal on the planet. That training paid off big time, as it helped Naruto create two of his best techniques, White Noise and Silent Night. As Madara focused on Naruto as Naruto's orbs became electrified and the darkness around his face just made him look that more scary. Web of veins cracked out from the corner of his eyes and from the bottom of his eyes, spreading over his face. "I want you at your best," said Madara. "Make this worth my time." Naruto indeed Madara was a worthy threat. He acknowledged that, but he was not a Hashirama Senju threat. The lightning surrounding the area only covered meadows, grassland, and not spreading anywhere else. He walked forward. As he didn't leave behind any full body image, he walked forward. As Madara started to walk forward as well, as their walk turned into a quick jog and then into a fast sprint as they clashed in the center of the field. As explosion when they met, dust and debris was sent sailing. Fighting Naruto, Madara realized something. It wasn't Naruto's raw speed, or that he could barely see him. The thing was, it was Naruto's unpredictability. Madara could not tell when he entered defensive or the offensive. Naruto knew 12 fighting styles and he has mastered 7 of them. The rest being a bit over Jonin. As Madara Mangita Sharingan was finding it harder and harder to try to keep up with Naruto as his styles were shifting in and out of focus, forcing Madara to push his body, but yet he still couldn't keep up. His mind could not predict the probability that his body should follow. Because if Naruto turned left, he twists his foot to the right and his arm twists back to the right and then to the left. He was moving, twisting his styles every second, making it difficult for the Sharingan to keep up. Even though he could see Naruto, that didn't mean he could keep up with him. As the man escaped a spotted kick that carried with a blast of lightning that thundered through the area, dropping his leg and spinning with a brutal kick as Madara quickly ducked underneath it as he felt the air above his head shifted. As he flicked to the other side, moving his head as Naruto's fingers dig into the earth, ripping it apart. As Madara spin and deliver a brutal jab towards Naruto's side, who slapped the leg down. As Madara's foot crashed into the ground, he brought his other foot up as Naruto ducked underneath it and lashed out with a brutal palm strike towards the man's sternum. As Madara brought to some chain sights rather quickly as he blocked Naruto's kick, he swinged it after Naruto's throat, who tilted his head back as he passed right over him as Madara grabbed the chains, yanking them back as he stabbed them towards Naruto's shoulder blades. But Naruto twisted his body to the side as he flew past him. A frustrated Madara brought his heel down as Naruto moved. The ground split as Madara's foot made contact with it, tremor in the place as the man was forcing out more energy than before. The ninjas around could barely keep up or even see what was going on. It was like 2 fireworks were clashing as the light was extreme and the force shockwaves after shockwaves. The blinding light increased as Madara was getting more and more angry as Naruto didn't even look slightly upset. He didn't even look like he was taking this seriously. That made Madara pissed off that someone besides Hashirama was able to fight him like this, and yet seemed to be holding back as well. The man was angry, he was livid as both men enter a furious strikes of blocks and attacks and twists that no one could follow. Their blows were just that fast until Naruto's cells inside and his movements got faster, pushing past the speed of sound. As they were getting close to the speed of light, Madara's eyes widened when his fist passed through Naruto's head, as that was not the real Naruto. It was just an after image. As something crashed in his chest. Boom! As Naruto did not let up as he moved, Madara could not see him anymore. His speed, as Madara was being knocked around like a fool, as something slashed across his face, nearly gouging out his eye. It made him came to a quick realization. He had to take this seriously now. Undead or not, the blonde man in front of him was tossing him around like a mere child. "You are not Hashirama," said Madara, as his Sharingan whirled. "You are better," he said. The thunder came down as a Kamui swallow, a bolt of lightning that was going to strike Madara. "Your abilities are waste on you. I can sense the power that you hold back," said Madara. The world distorted as Naruto was moving through the gravity. The existence of the fabric around them through swift feet. Yet Madara saw it as his eyes had changed. That ability to shift space and time. Reality as we know it. You may not have Senju blood running through you, or you may not have inherited Indra's chakra, but you are something I've never seen before. As Madara, Rinnegan, was on full display. A couple minutes earlier, when Obito had died, as his Rinnegan had faded away, to reveal that it was the same thing that Nagato did to all the corpses, to make them have the reflection of the Rinnegan in their eyes as well, with a black rod, a chakra receiver that Madara was using to give Obito a weaker form of the Rinnegan. Yes, Obito did not have the Rinnegan. It was Madara, he had it. As now that he didn't have to send chakra to Obito's body, as his right eye turned into the Rinnegan, leaving his monkey to Sharingan over to the left on full display. Flashback. Madara had took back his Rinnegan eye from Obito. As Madara did something for Obito though. He had Kabuto implant one of those black chakra receiver rods inside of Obito, which he used to push his Rinnegan powers inside of him. As Madara, Rinnegan faded away as he was sharing his power of the Rinnegan with Obito, forcing it into the chakra rod. As Obito got the Rinnegan into his eye once again, it wasn't as powerful when he originally had it. Of course, when he had took it from Nagato and implanted it himself, it was far more powerful. He could feel it. This was a copy, but it was still better than his normal eye. Madara could not use his Rinnegan while feeding the chakra to Obito, who he still had a purpose for. Kabuto came forward and gave Madara a petri dish. Inside was the cells. As Madara feed it towards the god tree, something did emerge from the god tree at hand, as the body of Senju Hoshirama dropped down to the ground, a clone of his DNA. As Madara absorbed the clone into himself, Hoshirama's Senjutsu DNA put up a fight, but it calmed down when he recognized the DNA that was already inside of Madara, that face that was on his chest from what he stole a long time ago in the flashback. My apologies, Naruto. I have not been taking you seriously, said Madara, as he closed his other eye with a monkey to Sharingan inside, while his Rinnegan pulsed. The man went through hand sign at incredible speeds, as Naruto could see it. As Naruto flashed to a single hand sign, fire style. Great fireball annihilation. Water release, said Naruto. Tears of the Kraken. The two jutsus collided and it was chaotic. Fire and water mixed as the steam around was incredible. It was like the five-tail boil release as the place melted and torn. The grass dried up around them and the hot wind blew it away as dust. The soil heaped up to the degree where you're supposed to sink underneath it, but the two of them sent Chakra to their feet standing on top of it. As it got solid, the next few seconds as the winds rushed over it, the eye flicked up and a bolt of electricity rushed down from the black clouds. Shadow Clone, a wood clone that is, came from Madara's back and rushed through hand signs. Sage Art, he said, as lines came in the man's face as he was now in Sage mode as well. Storm release. Lightning fan, as Madara fired the bolt of lightning and it connected with Naruto. The entire planet. Seismic quakes went off, earthquakes, disruption went off all around the continent. As Madara turned towards Naruto with a sick, gleaming smile on his face, both men flew forward, their feet no longer touching the ground as they bristled towards each other in an immense speed. But guys, be in subscribe right here. If you want the next person to do, like, subscribe, comment down below and turn on that bell notification as they posted. Remember, share to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also guys, remember to go ahead and check out the brand new episode of What If Naruto failed the genuine test and was given intense training over an anime king, and enjoyed that guys. And remember, if you're new, to go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and your support. Remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new. I'll be replying talking back to all of you. But I'm out for now. See you guys soon. Peace out.